Come here. Get off.
Welcome back, good people. Today we are talking to Claire Kann, pronouns she and her. Claire is the author of several novels and an award-winning online storyteller. In her other life, she works at a nonprofit you may have heard of where she daydreams like she's paid to do it. She loves cats and is obsessed with horror media, which makes the whole being known for writing contemporary love stories a bit weird, to be honest. Hey, Claire.
Hello. Good morning.
Yay. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, very happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for letting us use your book. All of that. We really appreciate it, especially being that it's a little early for you. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I had no idea. My parents said doctor. I said no. So I said veterinarian. And then I realized I have a pretty severe adverse reaction to a specific bodily fluid, and so I couldn't make it through. So then I just sort of floated around for a while. Even after I graduated high school, I had no idea. I paid for a semester at a four-year university to major in quote unquote business. Like, what does that even mean, right?
It's a business minor. It means nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
That and psychology, either,
Yeah, it's like I didn't know. I just wanted to end up somewhere where I could be comfortable. That was honestly my long-term goal.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's a worthwhile goal.
I wish everyone I wish everyone thought of it that simply, because I think it would take a lot of, there's still a lot to that, right? But it would take a little bit of the pressure off when you're, 18 sitting there like, let's chart the course of my life. So I'm going to major in business,
right?
So
like, shit at 18. So then how did you come to be a writer?
So I took a break. So after my one lone semester of college, I took a break for about 5-6 years. I was nannying for a while. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school after having a quarter life crisis. And the good thing about waiting until you're about 24, 25, at least in America, is you can file independent. You don't have to rely on your parents' income to get financial aid. And I was fucking broke. So I got all the money,
Yes.
And, I'm fairly book smart. I was able to get some academic scholarships and such. And so while I was doing general ed, just knocking that out of the way, I took a creative writing class for an elective. And you had to submit a short story. And up until that point, I had never written anything that wasn't for school, like nothing really creative other than like some poetry when I was trying to sort through my feelings. But it's bad. It doesn't count. And so in this class, I was sweating bullets, right? I'm like, I don't know how to write. 50 people are about to read something and I'm going to look stupid. But I took that anxiety, I channeled it into like a little fantasy horror story, turned it in the second week, whole class loved it. And it was that response changed the entire course of my life. Like that was the night I decided, okay, I'm going to write books and I'm going to be published. It had to be those two things together.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so this is not a question that we were originally going to ask, but I want to know. And it's, you say in your bio, like, that you love horror. What is it that you love about it? Like, I'm so interested in the fact that is what started your foray and that it is a bit different than romance, but not that different. Like, genre is not that different. But, like, what brings you to horror?
I have pretty severe anxiety. And
same.
Yeah. And so a lot of people who have anxiety have this weird thing about horror where they just love to consume it because it's fear in a controlled setting. Like everything that can possibly happen that's negative, you will see it play out on screen and there will be a resolution at the end. So it's very cathartic in a way. At least that's how it started. And now it just comes from a place of habit. I still really enjoy it, but a lot of the tropes in movies that are in movies and books don't really do it for me anymore. Like I often tell people there's nothing that scares me. It's not possible to scare me at this point. Anxiety and worry doesn't count. That's completely different part of the brain. But true fear, I don't know what that is. Yeah, and so that's why I just keep watching it or reading it, consuming it, trying to find the one thing that scares me again.
What's the last thing that you watched that actually scared you?
Yeah. Probably when I was 19 or 20, The Fourth Kind. It's this movie about an alien documentary. And I rewatched it a couple years ago, and it was fine. There's nothing scary about it. But at the time, I was so deep in alien paranoia that like it scared the hell out of me. I could not take it. I was so unnerved because, you know, I believe in aliens. There's no way we're the only creatures in the universe, you know?
No,
and just the thought of them coming here and being malevolent, too much for me. Couldn't handle it.
So who or what inspires you to write?
When I first started writing, it was the drive of wanting to please people, to entertain them with a story. Now that I'm published, that is no longer the case. Because once you release a story to the wider world, it goes beyond, you know, your friend group or your social circle. You can't anticipate what that reaction is going to be. And I've had enough negative reactions where I've had to train myself to not seek validation through writing anymore. And so currently, when I get asked this question, I say what inspires me are my contracts. I am legally bound to produce work at this point for a couple more years. And when I like to be paid, and to, you know, I don't want to let my team down. But from a creative standpoint, there really isn't much these days.
That's real.
Well, thank you for your honesty, but also it shows how amazing a writer you are, where in spite of all of that, you are still putting out some really dope content. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, yeah. This is why I really don't do interviews, is because like I don't put up a front. I'll tell you the truth of just about anything.
That's what we like.
I appreciate that. Like, because also like, people need to see that. Like, I think that, you know, there's so many people that are creatives, not even just writer, but that are creatives, that sometimes the only thing getting them through the next project is the fact that I made this commitment and I have to follow through. And if once that project is completed, that then results in, oh, now I have another spark of creativity, or, okay, I'm finished with this phase. Well, not this phase. I'm finished with this period. And now it's time to move on. And that doesn't like make it any less or greater than any other experience. I appreciate you saying that. And I think it is very helpful to so many creatives. So thank you for being honest and not bullshitting us, because that's no, I mean, like, what's the point in that, you know?
Yeah. And I have 100% been there. Working on books, I was like, okay, it's a contract. It's a project I said I would do. Oh, I gotta promote it? Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I get lost. It's the promotion for me. Honestly, that's where I get stuck a lot. And because I am anxious and I'm not really a people person. I make this joke because my mom is like the social butterfly. People come to her for her energy. I repel people. Okay, it's like it's very difficult to like live in that shadow. So promotion is not where it's at.
You're talking to fucking strangers all the time. You never really know what their motives are, where they're coming from. Half the time, they probably didn't read your fucking book. They don't really understand the themes, are not really interested. Like, it's tough being on that circuit. And like, I respect that, like, you have very clear parameters around, like, you know, like, y'all can't see her right now. That's because she don't want to be seen. Listen, that's why I used to love on my last promo tour, like doing podcast over doing anything else that require video. Like, I don't do TV anymore. And it gets you more hits, sure, more people see it, but the last time I did TV, I had a literal panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And like, my kid had to go down to Erica's house and I had to go to the dispensary and use my medical card because I was shaking and fucked up. And so I decided I wasn't doing it anymore. And when you remember how much power you have and how much agency you have in these situations to be able to say, you know what, this is what I will do and this is what I am not, that is power in itself. And so I'm glad that you exercise it.
Yeah, and I had a similar experience. That was my hard stopping point, was after a video interview. I disassociated for like 3 hours afterwards. Like I lost 3 hours of time and I said, no more.
Yeah.
I don't
like
have a problem doing.
What? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's so much to give for fucking what? Like, nah.
Yeah, so a couple of niggas can watch. That's cool. Not worth your health. So, yeah, all that to say, we're even more honored that you said yes and that you came on. And I'm a massive fan. I have literally read all of your books, torn through them, and then sent you random messages like, girl, I love this book. I read it in 2 days. And so I'm really glad that you're here. So thank you. And it actually brings me to my next question, which is, how do you balance the this of it all, right? The writing, the promo, the having to create that creative space for yourself, even when you don't feel like it, with like your day job, the other shit that pays you that you got to do every day?
I wasn't for a really long time. This year it was a goal for me to find balance, but in years past, it's literally just been me running myself ragged, like taking time off work to write for 18 hours a day for a week straight because my book is due Monday at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So don't recommend that.
It's probably not fun.
It's not, but I can do it. Like I try to hit my deadlines. But I'm also very blessed in that I have a wonderful job they're aware of what I do on the side. They're very supportive. They hype me up like no one else. Like yes. I really love them. And so part of it is wanting to make it work for my company and my executive directors specifically. Is they depend on me there. They love me there. I'm never going to quit. Wow. I would probably take a break from writing before I left my job.
That says so much. Wow.
Yeah.
Word. That's tough to come by.
Mm-hmm. But,
and I know, and the pandemic has, exposed all the cracks in our wonderful system here. And when I see the way employers are treating their employees, I'm like, I'm so blessed that I don't have to deal with any of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at that. You found some place where you'll be comfortable.
And that is, again, I think when we are younger, we think about, because I went through that. I got, I spent my entire life like, what's next? I'm going to do this. I'm going to be better. Da-da-da. And then like you, Claire, I got to a spot where I was working in a job that was super comfortable. And I was like, this is nice. Like you forget like, oh, because, like I worked jobs before where you see people and they've been in their jobs for years and hating it. And you're just like, I'm never going to be that person. And I ended up in a spot where I was like, yo, I could ride this shit out. This is great. Like nice people, like what I do, all of that. So, but again, like, especially in the pandemic, you realize this is not common and it's beautiful. So, okay. We use erotica as a jumping off for all of our conversations, including sex. So we always like to ask about the lessons that folks learn when they're young. So what was the prevailing attitude about sexuality and gender in your home when you were growing up?
Ooh, okay. Well, I guess it comes in twofold because there's large age gaps between me and my siblings. So between me and my eldest sister, there's 6 years. And so when you're 10 and they're 16, you'll learn a lot of stuff early. And so like everything I learned or gleaned was from my sister. My parents didn't have anything to do with it. They never sat me down and we had never had the talk. They were doing their own thing and trying to survive and provide for their children. This was just a bridge too far for them. And I recognized that early. And so I just never asked either. So luckily though, the internet existed, since the 80s. It's been around, but really in the 90s is when the internet got going. My mom was very supportive of the things that I wanted, as long as they weren't too great of an ask. And I asked for an internet connection and computer, and she got that for me. Her and my dad didn't make that happen. And so I was on the internet early, probably a lot earlier than I should have been. Not as early as like kids these days, but considerably early for a kid from the 90s. And that's also where I got a lot of the content and information was the internet. And I just sort of kept it to myself.
So, originally we reached out to you because we wanted to excerpt Let's Talk About Love, and you were like, chill. It's not appropriate.
I think it was like, I listened to y'all and we can't do that one.
It's a YA title. Okay, fine. But so instead you told us that you were working on a romantic agenda and that we
appreciate a good pivot. We appreciate a good pivot.
Thank you. And so, we're glad we got to read from it last week. And so in the book, as you know, obviously, Joy and her bestie Malcolm and the chick that he calls himself Lycan and her bestie go on a little trip, and we follow them as they try to kind of figure out how they fit into each other's lives. Where did the idea for this book come from?
Well, from a craft standpoint, I'm a character writer first. So I usually just kind of think of a plot and just wait for the characters to come to me. And so the plot I had initially was from 2 movies, My Best Friend's Wedding and The Great Outdoors with John Candy. And I wanted to put those 2 things together, and I just sort of waited around, and then Joy showed up, and I said, "Hey, Joy, you wanna be in this book?" And she said, "Yeah." She's like, "Hey, I have this friend Malcolm." And as I was writing it, I knew, like for the very first draft, and I'm just trying to get a feel for the characters, I knew Joy was in love with Malcolm, and either Malcolm didn't know or Malcolm was ignoring it. And so that causes obvious tension, and when you have a situation like that, the main pressure point would be to introduce a third person. And so Malcolm found someone, which is, the catalyst for Joy's story here. But then it's a romance, so I have to throw someone else in there and to give her happily ever after. And so that's where, to make it even more complicated for myself, I said, well, what if Fox is Summer's best friend? And then I wrote myself into a corner multiple times.
What about this? What about this?
Yeah. And it took a really long time to get it to where it needed to be for it to be publishable, because it was so complicated, and I wanted to respect everyone's feelings. I didn't want anyone coming off as like a villain at any point. It was a little harder with Summer because she's annoying, but I try. I know she is, and I think that's okay.
But she doesn't come off like a villain, though.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. It's okay to be annoying as long as it's like in an endearing way, I think, and that's what I tried to give her. Is just you don't have to like her, but at least kind of respect her stance and where she's coming from. So that was my goal with that character.
Yeah, that feels like that. So did Malcolm not know, or was he ignoring it?
A little bit of both. I think they have a really unhealthy relationship, I think, and they realized that, and he was putting her needs above his own to the point where he couldn't recognize her as a romantic interest because he thought she wasn't interested in dating, period. And that was, respecting her was more important than maybe reading any signs. Like, he thought he was just making it up. Like, no, she's not sending me signals. Of course she's not. So a little bit of both.
Okay.
So
I'm just thinking, because I'm like, because she was also codependent, like inputting his needs. They were each like behaving codependently toward each other, right? Like, well, okay, we're gonna get into that. But anyway, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so two of the characters in the romantic agenda are asexual. And let's talk about love also has an asexual protagonist. What draws you to write about these characters?
So perspective mainly. So I am asexual. I didn't say it for a very long time because I don't want people in my business. I'm very private, and I was like, if I'm going to keep writing about it, I probably should start talking about it. And it is a spectrum, and so people can fall anywhere that they may on it. But for me, I'm very baseline definition. Like, I just don't experience sexual attraction. I don't think about it in that way. And so when I write, that's my default state, is when I'm writing characters, is they also don't experience it. So I've been trained, by society to recognize it, to participate in it, to understand what's going on when it's happening. But fundamentally, I do think differently. And so it just felt more natural to start writing characters who had this one tiny sliver of a viewpoint that was similar to mine.
I think that's great. I mean, there's some, all right, like, we're going to write people that represent all types of folks in the world. I was actually talking to a woman who just found out that her daughter is asexual, and I recommended your books to her because I was like, Claire, she just paints a beautiful picture, and it shows the spectrums and how things can be different. And it's just a story, and it's not like a very special episode, So I thought that was, so bravo.
Thank you. It's so funny you said that, because when writing, like editing the first book with a professional editor, it was starting to feel like a very special episode. And I'm like, lady, I think you're wonderful, but I don't think you get what I'm trying to do here. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, because it's not like beat you over the head with it. It's just like, this is me. Like, you describe, there are scenes where you're describing, where Joy is describing her asexuality, her asexual nature to Fox. And it reminded me of, and I know this is horrible, but it reminded me of that scene in The Godfather where they're making the tomato sauce, the pasta sauce. And so it's a scene, shit's going on, but if you're paying attention, you learn how to make really dope pasta sauce. I have the worst analogies, but that's what it is. It's like, it's a scene. She's like, look, this is what I like. But if you're paying attention, you're like, oh, okay, so this is what asexuality looks like in Joy, So it was great without being like a very special episode.
Here is a definition. Let's read this together.
The weed, asexuality. Like, no.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so this is what I said we was gonna get back to. So in the beginning of the book, Joyce, she spins out when Malcolm asks her to be a buffer on this trip with this chick that she ain't never heard of. So, of course, as I was reading it, I was thinking about what the fuck I would do. I want to know, what would y'all do if the person who you loved, who also happened to be your bestie, asked you to do some shit like this?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going, bro.
So codependent Erica probably would have, but like now I'd be like, bitch, you better find somebody. Like, no.
Like, no. Okay. It's not just me. I was like, am I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, and again, we touched on this in the last episode, Kenrya. Like, I can't, there's some points, like some levels of petty that just leap out of my spirit. And so even if I did being codependent Erica, then I'd like devolve into passive aggressive Erica and be at dinner like, girl, look at these cute messages he sent me. You know, like, and I don't need to be that person. Just like Monique said, when the whore left out, the petty would leap out of my spirit. And that just ain't good for nobody. I don't even want to be that person. So, hell no. Claire, you a wild one for that piece.
No, but that's exactly what happened. That's how she used to act. And so this was the book of her unlearning how not to be petty, because she used to do shit like that. Yeah, so you're right on the money. Like, that's it.
Joy is here in my spirit.
She has her moments where she just like, fuck this shit. Where she just like, I can't believe that you're asking me to do this, and the petty leaps out. But she does a good job of stuffing it back in, because I ain't got it.
Yeah, I would have burned. It would have been scorched earth on that day. Like, y'all would have sent him. Y'all would have had me going home in an Uber. I would have been the trauma that bound those three people together
for the rest of their lives. Goddamn.
Like, God damn. So,
but she found her person.
She did.
Or another person, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. Because she got past her petty, I guess. I ain't got it.
Okay, so we have had the can women and men be friends conversation a million times on the show.
Hate it.
And it's usually like can men and women be friends? And we're like, yep. But in this story, it goes beyond that. It's like Malcolm's partners have problems with him being so close to Joy, and it's not like inappropriate. Can they be friends? It's just deeper than that. Why was it important for you to explore that relationship dynamic?
I think it's because of the question, can men and women be friends? And I also agree, yes. Why is this even a thing? I felt like if I took it to that superficial level and just left it there, it would not have worked, because then the Summer character wouldn't have worked either. And so just to serve the story, I had to deepen their relationship to the point where it's understandable why all of his partners they feel so insecure and threatened. But at the same time, Joy doesn't understand what the problem is. She knows she's never going to get with Malcolm. Why can't they just chill the fuck out?
Yeah.
And hopefully I illustrated why things are the way they are for that particular couple.
Yes, everything made sense. And I know you were saying that it felt complicated at first, but it never felt complicated in the read. You know, like it was never like, let me draw a fucking diagram on this whiteboard so that I can understand. There was none of that. Everything flowed and made sense, and the character stayed within their character. I was never like, why the fuck would she say? Like, everything made sense. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I know the answer to this, but you may surprise me. Who's your least favorite character in this book?
Summer.
Bingo! Okay. Well, there's that.
Oh, yeah, and it was real apparent in the first couple of drafts. Like,
this bitch, cross it out. My bad. Summer.
Yeah. Like they had to check me a couple of times. They're like, are you sure this is how you want Summer to read? And I'm like, yeah.
You're like, this is who she is. What are we talking about?
I can't help this. Like, it's okay. And then I realized, like, no, Claire, really think about it. If you were Summer, how would you feel if this was how you were being written? And I really had to take some time and do some character interviews and get into her backstory and find out why she is the way she is. And while I understand it, I still don't like it. So she's still my least favorite.
Okay.
You know, to your credit, I didn't hate her at the end. No, I did not hate her. She annoyed me the entire time.
Yeah, I mean,
like, bro, I don't want to make a cake with you. I don't know you. Like, leave me alone. Like, she aggravated me, but I didn't.
Kenrya, I cannot stand you because I totally see you being like, I don't want to do this with you. And
I would literally be like, no.
Repeating it back makes you feel stupid for being like, well, damn, I thought a cake was nice.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and we all have people in our lives. Like I can name people right now for me, and I can name people for Kenrya that are like, you're like, she's sweet, but yeah, she's just annoying. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
We're like,
and so I don't. But they so sweet.
Yeah, and so it's like you can't be a bitch, but you just be like, oh, honey, I ain't got it.
I can have boundaries without being a bitch. That's what I got.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so I was looking back at the book yesterday because I read it like as soon as you sent it to us a couple months ago. So I was looking at it again, and I noticed that you dedicated it to, what was it, yourself at 14 and then yourself now? I love that. Why did you dedicate it to yourself?
So I actually changed it. So the ARC, the Advanced Reader Copy, is dedicated to me, and then the final book is dedicated to, it has a different dedication.
Oh, look at that. Well,
it's kind of like a hidden fact. Yeah.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. And I think I did that because the book was so hard to write. And I struggled so much. And it's a pandemic book. So I wrote it all in like between 2020 and 2021. And I was alone, like, just cut off from family, can't go see like my friends, can't go drive to see my mom, just alone in my house writing. And a lot of my pain and loneliness and that fear of being disconnected went into joy, which is why she holds on to Malcolm so tightly. It's because she doesn't want to be alone. And I was alone. And thinking back, 13, 14, those were the ages where that became a real problem for me as a teen. Because I feel like when you're alone and when you're lonely, those are two different things.
Yes. I'm
never lonely. I love myself. I find comfort in myself. But being alone too long is when I start running into trouble. Mm-hmm. And so if I could go back to those ages, because I'm way beyond like 33 at this point, I would give myself this book and say, hey, look, we get to the point where we can write this. And you love it a lot. I hope you enjoy it, younger me.
Yeah, that's super powerful. I'm glad that you were able to give yourself the gift of this book, even if it was later than you wanted it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned a little bit earlier, like the Romantic Agenda was traditionally published, but your other books kind of followed, and especially your first book, like followed a different model, which like I only know that because I'm the nerd who reads literally everything. So I read all the back matter in the book, like all the thank yous, and when you're talking a bit about the website and all of that. Can you tell us about the process of how your first book came to be and how that publishing process differs from like your current one?
Yeah. So with publishing, if you're going the traditional route, usually you find an agent likes the book, they sign you, and then, they pitch you to publishers, and the publisher picks it up, and then it goes out to the world. So for my first book, while it was traditionally published, I didn't have an agent. So it was it's now defunct, but it was Swoon Read's website. You uploaded your completed manuscript. The editing team, they also do the Firewall and Friends. It's part of Macmillan, those books as well. They went through the submissions and they pick which books they wanted to publish, and I got chosen. And I only submit it because I'm terribly impatient. As soon as I write something, I want to show it to everybody. And I was like really in the thick of that. So I was posting to Wattpad. I was on Swoon Reads. I was looking for like any kind of open calls to just bypass the agent stuff. Like I would do everything except query at that point. And so when I got picked up, the way I got an agent was because they read Let's Talk About Love. And they said, hey, I want to sign you if you don't have an agent yet. And so like, everything I've done has been unconventional. So I try to not talk about it because I think it gives a false expectation of like, there's all these back doors into publishing when really there's not. I just got lucky a bunch. I worked really hard. You know, I struggled with my craft greatly, but I still got in those ways.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, thanks for sharing that. I don't know. I think telling the stories of the different ways that people get in also gives you the space to be like, this ain't typical. Don't expect this to be the way that it's going to go. But it is still a part of your story, right? And how you got to be where you are. And it's pretty dope. So I'm going to pat you on the back that you got picked up in that way. So yeah,
and it goes like way deeper than that. Like there's some stuff that hasn't been announced yet, and that I can't talk about. But same backwards route where someone spotted me and said, "Hey, can you do this thing?" And I said, "I can try."
This is the equivalent of like the little girl walking in the mall, and they're like, "Yeah, I want you to be a model."
That's actually, see, that analogy was really good.
The Godfather ones too. No.
It was.
But this one makes a little more sense. Again, Claire, like your story is your story, and I'm happy that you're sharing with us, and I am really thankful that you're just honest about it. Like, look, this is what happened to me. It may not be everybody's, but this is what happened to me. So
yeah, and I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, shit's hard, right? A lot. And when we have those moments of favor that pop up, I don't know, it reminds me that there's joy even in the negotiations of the bullshit.
Yeah, and I just took it as a sign, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be in this spot. I don't think, like, if one thing had gone wrong, like, if I had never taken that creative writing class, I wouldn't be here today. So I'm walking my path.
Yeah, you are.
And it's a very lucky path, and I'm very cognizant of that.
Good.
You know, you're, I don't know. I be trying not to fangirl, but, like, I love The Marvelous so much. I was taking a walk and no bullshit, reading it on my phone while I was walking through the woods because I didn't want to stop, and I was almost done and I wanted to see how it ended before I started my workday. Yeah, I see you looking at me.
I'm like, that don't seem real smart, but okay.
It's not, take that. But I didn't have, my headphones were out, so at least I could hear what was going on around me, but I was in it. And that is not a thing that happens that often. Like, I just really, really connect. Your work really resonates with me. And even if it's just, weird motherfuckers like me that's reading your book while we walk around, not looking where we going, know that it's reaching people. So
thank you. I really love that. It's really great.
What did you learn from writing this book?
I learned I'm greater than my struggles because it was hard. Honestly. I learned I'm capable. Yeah, I did learn that I was capable of more than I thought. Because writing young adult with an asexual protagonist, you can kind of lean into the audience not knowing what's going on. You can get away with explaining things. You can be a little bit didactic. You don't have to worry about sex scenes. When you write adult romance, the game changes. And it was like one of the first questions when I was talking to different editors while I was on submission. One of the main questions I got asked was, are there going to be sex scenes? And it's like, no, question mark. I mean, I hadn't thought that I had to do that. And I really had to sit down with the character, Joy, and say, hey, is this something you want to do? And the answer was no. And so I had to find a way around that and just let people know up front that, there's no sex in this book.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not your thing, I don't recommend reading it because there will be no space. And that does create a lot of pressure in terms of like the book's performance, because readers are looking for that. It's closed door is still a thing, but it's becoming less frequent. And so I had to push past that fear to write the scene that Joy deserved.
Yeah. And it still has spice.
Yeah.
We're here right now because it has spice.
You on an erotica podcast. We don't need penetration.
And that's like the next one that I'm working on now. I like told my editor, so like this character is also asexual, but she's a little different. So
she's more Malcolm than Joy.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, I'm just gonna prepare people like as much as possible, because when I say I'm gonna write something, I mean it. And I no one has seen that from me yet, and I'm there now, so that's why it's on my brain. I'm going to work on it some more today. So it's like, these scenes are, yeah. So I'm learning that as well right now. Like, I am capable of more than I think. I just have to try and push myself. My cat's making a lot of noise right now.
What do you want readers to walk away with?
I would love it if readers could walk away with a deeper understanding of a small sliver, small facet, of asexuality through experiencing Joy's story. And on the flip side, I just feel, wow, I'm tired. On the flip side, I would like for readers to have a deeper understanding of what a relationship could look like. And so I don't really read reviews, but I did read one. And the reviewer was questioning why I didn't mention queer platonic relationships, because that's essentially what Joy and Malcolm had. And I'm like, I didn't mention it because they don't have that language. That's not something that's a part of their wheelhouse. And I wasn't going to give it to them because that's not how they view each other. So just an open mind. I would love if readers had an open mind when they walked into the book and then left with a deeper understanding that, you can be friends with the opposite sex. When you have issues within your relationships, you need to communicate. If your needs aren't being served, you have to be willing to disconnect, even though it's going to be painful.
Okay, girl. All right. Whatever. Bye. Okay. Whatever.
Also, fuck that reviewer. This is not a fucking nonfiction. Nonfiction primer. Like, go read something different then, if that's what you were looking for. Don't read reviews.
I don't. Overall,
calm down.
I was really pleased with this review, but that was that one thing. And I'm like, not everybody has that language. And the assumption that just because I do, because I've written If It Makes You Happy is a queer platonic relationship, doesn't mean these characters do. So I think there's this expectation that I'm going to put the same information as a primer in every single work that I write. And the answer is no, because I am not my characters. This is their journey. I'm just the spokesperson. They're telling me what's happening and I'm giving it shape and form.
Right. It's funny. I was actually just about to mention If It Makes You Happy, because yes, that is exactly what their relationship is. But they're teenagers. They didn't have, theory. They didn't have the language. They just knew how they felt about each other and worked it out as they went. And it wasn't like a big deal. It was just the way that they related. And I remember me as an adult trying to figure out what their connection was. And still, I didn't have that language either, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, that ain't your problem, Kenrya.
Right. It was just about following these characters and enjoying their story and their growth and, whatever. Folks want to make everybody be everything for them.
Yes.
Okay. A few things. So I'm sorry. You got me. Okay. So first, talking about, I'm not even gonna bring it up. We'll talk about it offline. Just remember,
making yourself a note.
Because I don't even want to get a situation. I don't even want to give it. I don't want to give it the joy of the eternal and discussing it. But okay. as a non-writer, because, you know, when we interview authors, I feel like it's a very Kenrya author situation. And I am like the girl in the orange dress in the Bella Noche video. It's just like, that's sad. It's a very specific call out. But anyway, but as a non-writer, listening to you, Claire, talk about how you talk to your characters. This is the character story, and you're just dropping in, watching it play out. It's beautiful. It's evident in the story. It's just, I appreciate that that is the way that you convey the story and how you develop it and all of that. And again, before this podcast, Harry Potter was like my shit. Like, that was the height of my reading. Fuck J.K. Rowling. Yeah, but so I just learning the nuances and the backstory is just amazing for this little, fiction Harry Potter reader, former Harry Potter reader. Okay. Do you have a favorite line or passage in this book?
So I don't have a serious favorite line, but I'm working on merch right now, or little pre-order stickers to entice people to buy the book. And one line that my friend pointed out that she thought would be a good one would be "Petty speaks to petty," or "The petty apple doesn't fall from the petty tree."
That's fucking phenomenal to me. Like, yeah, that's serious as it needs to be. Yeah,
Joy describes herself as petty, and she's like unlearning that behavior, but she's still kind of in the thick of it, and that's how she views herself.
I mean,
again, true to the character.
Yeah,
exactly. True to the character.
I like it. What's your superpower?
I would say analyzing things, people, cutting to the heart of a situation and seeing things for what they are. It's very hard to bullshit me. I have a long memory and I never forget.
Yes. That's a skill.
That's that sounds like some Game of Thrones shit.
It's true. They would have to honestly just kill me because I would rule everything.
Like, I'm gonna remember that shit. Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of superpowers, quick either or. Would you rather have invisibility or flight?
So I mentioned earlier that I repel people. I'm pretty much already invisible, so I would go with flight.
You're not invisible to us.
You're not invisible. Yeah, says the voice.
Yeah. See, like, no one sees me. No one knows who I am. I do spend a lot of time feeling invisible already. Yeah.
Well, I will say that your presence has not only been felt on this show, but it has been a looming force on this show for a minute, because after Kenrya read Let's Talk About Love, you have been like on our vision board for a while. Like, this has been a plan. Claire Kann and her work has been very visible in the work of the Turn On and in our space. And I know we're not alone in that. So, yeah. I don't know if you want to feel, if it's like some people prefer invisibility, but unfortunately, dog over here, you visible as shit.
Yeah. It's so funny because usually I just turn everything down. I won't even entertain the idea of coming on interviews most days. But I got your email and I was like, let me look at this, let's see what's going on. And I listened to like 4 episodes in a row, and I'm like, I want to go on, but it's a young adult book. That's not appropriate.
These bitches crazy.
I like, you read full excerpts and I just going in, talking about childhoods. I'm like, I don't know. Like, well, maybe they might want to do the next book. So that pivot was like a wild card. I'm like, they're probably going to say no.
No, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because Kenrya loved it so much. We were like, because she
whatever
loved it so
she got,
much,
we
I was like,
it.
yo, like, yeah. Because very rarely do we get turned down, but I felt like if we got turned, and some, like some books, if we turned them down, if they turned us down, Okay.
We've actually never been turned down. We've had some people who just haven't responded, but we've never had anybody take the time to hit us up.
Y'all
and be
just
like,
ain't read y'all email because we fine. Y'all would have been here. But no, but this definitely would have moment.
Yeah, because honestly, if somebody doesn't get back, we'd be like, all right, on to the next. But I was like,
they're gonna be looking at their email and in 4 years, like, damn, I missed an opportunity.
But no, with this one, I was like, I hope she says yes. And so then when you got back and you were like, hey, bitch, this is not appropriate.
I'm like, well.
Then I was like, oh, great. Okay. We can do this. We can make this happen. So, no. Very excited. So, yes, but the reality remains, right? Like, even though you're very visible over here, that don't really mean shit if that's not how you feel.
Yes.
So, I honor that.
I appreciate you both.
If you had,
I thought you were pointing to me to go to another question. I'm but you got more.
More. Okay. So, would you rather have the ability? So you're living now. This is a horrible way to set it up. You're living now. You're a superhero now. Would you rather be able to pop back in the past and come back, or pop into the future and come back?
Can I change things if I pop into the past? Because there's some people I want to talk to. Change the course of history a little bit.
You would literally have folks come to you like, Claire, so I need you to see this part, do this. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be complete.
Because usually in honesty, when the people ask the question about going to the past, I say, no, the past was horrible to Black people.
That's why I was making that face. But you're right. If you can change some shit.
Yeah, that's different. I got some scores to settle.
That's what I'm kind of thinking. And I didn't say live in the past, go back there, fuck some shit up, pop on back. Yeah. Mm-mm. Okay. So, all right. So past, is that what you said? Past, if you can go back and fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, last one. Would you rather have super sight or super hearing? So you can see
You like Dolores? Oh, but see, it'd be fucking Dolores up. You haven't watched Encanto yet, have you, Erica?
Oh, and everybody keep talking about Bruno. I don't fucking care about Bruno. I haven't seen Coco Melon. I haven't seen...
Have you seen Coco? That's different.
No. Ain't seen that. Ain't seen Frozen. Ain't seen Frozen 2. I just saw Moana. You made me sit down and watch Moana.
It's one of my favorite movies.
So y'all gonna have to make me watch Encanto?
Encanto. It's so fucking good. Okay, I'm sorry. But so Dolores, one of the characters, her gift is that she can hear everything, but it's a heavy gift.
Yeah, I feel like both would be. Sorry, Claire, this is your question.
No, I was thinking about it. You guys make some excellent points. I would probably go with super sight because I can't see right now. I gotta wear glasses. Just being able to see the trees outside without my glasses would be incredible.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because I got glasses as an adult, and so I literally sat in a chair. The man put the glasses on my face, and I said, "Oh."
This is what y'all be saying.
He laughed at me, yeah, because I'm I didn't realize how bad my vision was until I got glasses. And I walked outside, saw a tree, but I could see the leaves on the tree. It wasn't just a green blur. And I started crying. I would take the super sight.
Yeah, I've been wearing glasses since 4th grade because I started getting headaches from squinting at do y'all remember overhead projectors? Mm-hmm. The little thing that you would write on it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I could never see, and I'd be squinting. I had headaches and glasses. But my partner has, of course, wonderful sight. And so anytime I can't find him, and I'm he's like, so you just wake up and you can't see shit? I'm I see nothing until I find my glasses. And I remember once years ago, I just couldn't find them. And I couldn't start my day. And it was just me and the baby. And I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? It reminds you that not being able to see is a disability.
It's a disability.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't I don't remember how I think I just kind of laid on the floor and like felt around for a while underneath stuff until I found my fucking glasses. So now if I can't find them, either he's here and he finds them or my kid comes and finds them for me. I can't see shit.
Bitch, you're gonna have to keep them on a string tied to the wall or something. Jeez.
Well, they're usually
you know how your teacher put a stapler on the hall pass? Put a stapler on the bottom of that bitches or something.
I spend so much time in bed, right? Because I have to. And so a lot, like, usually next to me is like a little pod of like my phone, my AirPods, a few books, my glasses, my sunglasses, because I mostly wear those at this point because of my light sensitivity. But if I like in the middle of one of my naps, like knock my shit over on the side of the bed, I'm fucked. Like, it's going to take a while. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sight. I want it. I do not have it. Okay, so I'm supposed to ask you what you're reading, but I also happen to know that you were at least recently reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. Can we just talk about that for a minute?
Yes.
Okay, so is that the second one? Or is that the third one? Okay, that's the second one. Have you made it to the third one yet? Have you finished the whole thing yet?
Oh, I'm done with all three. Yeah.
How did you feel reading them? I felt so very fucking seen. Like,
my favorite, I feel like I'm the most similar to Chloe, I think, because, I kind of just hide and run away from my problems. But I think for Danny's book, the second one, I wanted to see what it was like to be hypersexual like that. Like, I just... I needed that representation in a book form that I knew I could trust, from an author I knew I could trust, because not all sexual relationships are written equally.
And Talia does a wonderful job. We had her on the show our first season.
Yeah, we were, and she was so when we first started, we knew a few of the names, like a few of the writers,
but we weren't like big in Romancelandia yet.
Yeah, and we stumbled upon Talia, and we just thought it was a good story. And then I remember we interviewed her and was just fucking blown away. I think we asked we were like,
"Bitch, how many books have you
read?" We asked something, and she was like, "Well, I'm only 23." It was like, "What?"
So then we went into auntie mode because she's our baby.
Yeah.
But so then when these books came out, it was like for me, felt like such a big deal. And I was reading Chloe just as I was starting to really understand what's been going on with my health. And so I was seeing things in her, in me, and not understanding that we had a lot of the same shit. And so it actually helped me to better understand my own disability as I was reading that book. But then I found parts of myself, my anxiety, in all of them. And it's just, I don't know, it's such a beautiful series. And I'm so very glad that you read it, because I don't know, it feels good.
Yeah. Chloe is the reason why I actually began to tell people I'm chronically ill. I need you to understand that I am at a point in my life where you need to know this information and I need accommodations. And luckily, I had surgery last year and it pretty much cleared up all my problems. And that's no longer an issue for me. But at the time, I was crying my way through that book. I'm like, this is supposed to be feel good. I'm supposed to be happy. What is happening to me? And I'm really grateful that she was able to write that series, and it was supported the way it was. It blew up in romance land. Everyone loves those books.
They're massive. I want the hardcovers with the sprayed edges, but I am trying not to buy more books because I don't have
buy them. Fuck it.
Yeah, just buy them.
I want them so bad.
You're buying for the home you will have, not the home that you have. So real. Buy the fucking books.
Yeah, because I'm ready to read them again. I just fucking read them, I don't know, in the summer. But I'm ready to read again already. Okay, yep. Y'all have inspired me. I'm going to buy them today. Spending money I don't have.
I was literally about to buy them. But
okay. Oh, go ahead. Buy them. Right. Thanks, boo.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, your credit card's on the account.
Awful. Okay, fine. Okay, while she doing that, what's turning you on today?
Honestly, my coffee.
Ooh.
Because I'm tired.
Oh, shit.
They more expensive than you thought they was going to be?
No, they're on back order.
Oh.
Well, Eve Brown is on back order. Chloe
But they don't
and
have
Danny.
them as a set of the three with the... Okay, we'll talk about this offline.
I'm looking on Bookshop. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so what's up next for you, Claire?
So I'm working on a secret project that is about to come to fruition, hopefully. And for adult romance, there will be another one, hopefully next year. Just waiting for the go-ahead from my editor, but another ace character who is sex positive in a sexual relationship. That's like end goal. Like if she doesn't like this premise, we'll pick a different one with different characters. But I want to put that work out into the world because there really isn't, at least in the traditional sphere, an ace character who really enjoys sex, and we need it. I think it's needed.
And especially like Black folks, like there's a dearth of books that star ace characters to begin with, but even a lot of the ones that are out there, it's white folks, and we don't do that on the show. So
yeah, and they're go ahead.
Oh, so one of the things as I was reading, and I'm the type of person, if I like find something, I like do all my Googles on it. So as I was doing my Googling, I learned that a lot of young people, it takes a while for young people to even recognize that they are asexual because they just don't know, they don't see it. And so, again, it's great that you are writing these stories because, like you said, with the Chloe Brown book, well, Talia Hibbert's Chloe Brown book, like, people can read it and be like, oh, wait, I do that. That's me. And then, and it's much better than getting a pamphlet at a county fair.
Whatever. Malcolm brought joy to her truth. Shit.
Honestly, when Let's Talk About Love came out, several emails a week of people coming out in my email inbox, just telling me, like, I had no idea. This is me. How did you know? And I'm like, girl, I don't know you. I don't know you. I'm happy you found your way, but hey, let's not get too personal here. But
it's a lot of information, but
it is, and it's just, and it still happens. Even maybe like once a month, twice a month, someone will email me and say, "Thank you, I found myself. I love this. This is me. Where can I get more information?" And I'm like, let me help you. I got you.
That sounds like a damn good inspiration to write.
I think so. I think so.
So folks can find you at clairekann.com, which is CLAIREKANN.com. And can you tell us where else they can find you?
Instagram on a good day. Other than that, you gotta email me.
And so your IG Twitter is Claire, KANNCLAIRE. And it's the same on Twitter.
Yeah,
but you're on Twitter less often.
Yeah, almost never.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, Instagram is your best bet. It's the same handle, but email is always best. Yeah.
And they can find that by going to your website and finding it there.
Yes.
Go check out her site. Look at her stuff. Order her books.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Support this girl.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for saying yes.
You're welcome. Like I said, I had a good feeling, and I'm so glad I went through with that. And I'm glad you guys said yes to the pivot.
Yeah, no, that was never a question. And I'm glad it turned out to hopefully be a good experience.
You could have been like, here's this mystery box, and I want you to read it. We've been like, yes, a cheese slice. We are going to read the fuck out of this. Claire wrote it.
Exactly. And on that note, that's it. Wait, so not only is this the end of this week's episode, but this is the last episode of this season. Fuck.
That's me wiggling my boobs.
We made it to the end of season 5. Thank you to everybody who joined us for the whole way, any other way for this episode, whatever you hear. And you could have been anywhere else. So thank you for being here with us. Yeah. That's it. We'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Peace out.
This episode was produced by us, Kenrya and Erica, and edited by Ballistic. The theme music is from Brazy. Hit subscribe right now in your favorite podcast app and at youtube.com/The Turn On Podcast so you'll never miss an episode.
Then follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast. And you can find links to books, transcripts, guest info, what's turning us on, and other fun stuff at theturnonpodcast.com.
And don't forget to email us at theturnonpodcast@gmail.com with your book recommendations and your pressing sex and related questions.
And you can support the show by leaving us a 5-star review, buying some merch, or becoming a patron of the show. Just head to theturnonpodcast.com to make that happen.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Holla.